right. Hey, Choombas, welcome. This is Night City Council. My name is JonJonTheWise. I am here with the illustrious mayor of Balancetown himself, James Hutt. How are you, James?
Hi everybody. I'm I'm coming to y'all live from the new RTG office. It's exciting. So let us know how bad the sound and audio quality coming from my end is today.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to work on that, so don't worry, folks out there. But it's good to see you again. Last episode was an awesome fan favorite. A lot of people chimed in. They said they really liked that episode. Melissa Wong, awesome, amazing writer.
So cool to have her.
Yeah, so cool to have her on. She was a great guest. We'll have her on again for sure. But that was a lot of fun. No input. Yeah.
No. I was great. Great, man. I'm just coming off a day at work, so I'm kind of a little frizzed.
Yeah, you're doing it from the office because there's construction on your street, right?
Yes. They're doing construct. I think they're power washing and painting all of the exteriors. So
it's just going to be a bunch of generators.
Say be a little loud.
Yeah, it'll be generators going off all at once, but we don't need that today. Today we have quite a full docket. We have a new DLC from Elflines Online, the TCG, the trading card game. I'm sure all of you want to hear all about that. We have that. We also just have news that dropped today, actually, when we're recording.
That is true.
That Artel Sorian has teased that they are working on a source book for the Edgerunners anime series. Edgerunners Missions, I believe, is the description we were given. So stay tuned for that. That's coming. And also, if you guys didn't notice, Artel Sorian also officially announced in like a sub tweet in one of the comments that a 2077 source book is also being worked on. But, that's something we had heard a while ago. I think we hadn't heard anything about that in a while. So it's good to hear it again, just to remind us that that kind of stuff is happening. And of course, we have questions to answer. I ran a game on Halloween for my local shop. Not on Halloween, but yeah, around that time. So we could talk about that one if we have time. But James, it's good to see you, buddy. I hope you've been working a lot, huh?
Yeah. I haven't been running much games. I've been doing a lot of writing. You'll hear about that eventually, but yeah, it's been really productive couple of weeks. I always get really productive around the holidays because I'm an emotional sponge. So if everybody else is having a good time, think about Thanksgiving and whatnot, I get empowered by their good vibes, and it makes me more productive.
Yeah, I totally get that. Were you? How was your Halloween, by the way? Did you celebrate? Did you trick or treat?
Yeah, I did. I dressed up. I went to a alternative club I'm a part of, and they had like a vampires ball thing, and that was sick.
Oh, nice.
That was real fun. But I got to get it done in like one day. I'm not the type of guy to go to like 3 different Halloween parties. Okay, I'm not that cool. So I got to get the Halloween party, go to one, have a great time, move on.
Yeah, we were home at 8:00, but like we're boring. So. Whoa.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm a little less boring, but
my computer just made a weird noise. Okay. All right, Chooms. Yeah, sorry, Chooms. We're back. I edited out all that. Apparently, my Streamlabs was going off while we were recording. That would get annoying, so I turned it off. So yeah, you had your good little Halloween parties.
I
only went to one.
Yeah, I only went to one, but it was a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No gaming. Didn't get any gaming done. Nothing.
I have been doing a lot of writing. I have not had time, and I don't know. I like to take a break from in-person gaming over the holidays just because it makes the getting people together part really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely that's the bane of every game's existence, right? Did you see the D&D movie got pushed back? Somebody said
Sure.
on social media that's the most D&D thing to happen.
Yeah, it's an easy joke, right? But it really kind of is how it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so instead of going through all the extra cat herding in the holiday season, I kind of like to take a siesta from the game and then come back in the new year, since it gives everyone time to do whatever they want. And that way, when they come back in January, they're like, oh man, I really want to play now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to take breaks.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Hobbying comes in waves. Like sometimes I just won't paint at all, and then other times I'm painting like crazy, or I'm playing Cyberpunk like crazy. So yeah, that's normal. The ups and downs. I had like a typical movie Halloween experience, like in the movies, where it's kids going door to door, trick-or-treating in a safe neighborhood. There's a spot over here by my house that it's literally like that. So
Nice.
we did that. I was dressed up as Beetlejuice. So was my son, and my wife was Lydia from the movie Beetlejuice. You know, we were home by 8. It was a Monday, so I had to work the next day.
Very sweet.
Yeah. So, but you know, we'll talk about the game that I ran later after questions if we have time. So why don't we just get straight into the DLC?
Yeah, let's get into it. So
talk to me about Elflines Online, the trading card game, Battle for the Elflands.
So more elves. If you've been following, this is, I believe, the 4th Elflines Online DLC, and this fills the slot of in October. I like to do stuff with cards, just because cards as a mechanic is fun, but it's also definitely a DLC mechanic. You know, this is not a core. It's not a core game feature. So I wanted to do a bunch of things, and I wanted to put it together, and I found that it was it came together and it made a good Elflines. So I made it an Elflines one. There's a couple of different things that this DLC does. First off, there's a completely playable new card game that you can play with a 52 card deck. You can play it in like a limited format where you need just one deck, or if you've got a bunch of decks lying around, you can make your own. You can have a semi-constructed experience, kind of like a typical TCG, and build your own deck and then play with that. So one of the cool parts about this card game, is that it's designed to be a sideshow for a TRPG. So it's a fast card game. It's meant to like look like it's a big long thing, like a game of Magic, but you're not actually playing a full game of Magic at the table, because that wouldn't work. You know, that wouldn't typically jive with the timeline of play.
Yeah, so basically you have two versions of the game. One is like where you actually play it, its rules, and it is like a card game. And the other version is what you would do at the table if you're playing Cyberpunk Red.
The cool part is they're both the same thing. And one of the ways that I make that interesting is there is a cheating sort of subsystem in this DLC on page 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one-page thing, and the cool part about it is that you don't have to use it exclusively for this Elflines Online trading card game that's included in the prior 7 pages.
Yeah.
You can use it for playing poker in game or any number of sideshow activities. That way, you know, we've got a gamble skill for a reason. I'd like to think that a previous DLC, like Woodchipper's Garage, was very much about the explosives skill, or explosives, heavy weapons being featured. This DLC is sort of like the gamble skill gets use and featuring in terms of how do you actually use it in a non just completely I roll gamble story way. So that's cool. So there's a playable game, there's cheating rules, and there's new loot for Elflines Online that you have to buy outside of the game and look for in card packs, or you can buy singles.
Sure.
And finally, there's a couple of weapons for cosplaying Elflines Online characters in the back. That's about the general gist of the DLC. It is free, so you can pick it up, and I like to think that it has enough content in it to sort of sell the idea of, hey, there's an in-universe game, and there's so many storylines you can do with an in-universe tournament, and it enables that campaign, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I like that. Just to give you guys an idea, it looks like the cheating mechanic is, so this is cheating for any card game, basically, right?
Mhm.
Or
Yep.
any game that involves gambling.
Any game, it's cheating for any game that involves cards.
Okay, it involves cards. So the cheater rolls 1d10 plus their intelligence plus their gamble skill, and then they have to beat a certain difficulty value. If your cheat fails, your attempt is obvious to your opponent and any observers. So this isn't an opposing roll like a perception. It's just you roll against a chart.
Yeah, it's more like a vehicle maneuver when driving a vehicle.
Yeah, so it's like a sleight of hand technique thing, and
there is a catch. There's an opposition element in it where once per game, and this is once per card game. Fair enough.
Gotcha.
A cheater is attempted to cheat. A participant or observer can oppose the character's check with a concentration, gambling, or streetwise check to catch them if they win.
So the first time it's against the chart. Second time it's still against the chart, but now
it's always against the chart, but once per card game, somebody can like oppose your check and try to catch you cheating.
So could they do that on the first time you cheat? Okay.
Sure.
Gotcha. So as a game master, I can choose to have the dealer do a check, and it's basically on his stat block.
Right. But it's a once per card game thing.
Yeah.
So if you're, this is important for like if you accuse someone of cheating multiple times, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
It becomes Boy Who Cried Wolf, right?
Exactly. So the easiest cheat out of defeat 13, secretly look at an opponent's hand, can be attempted by observers. Stealth skill may be used instead of gambling to attempt this cheat. Oh, okay, so you could choose which one of these you want to attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, so you don't just roll on the chart and see what you get.
These are all different maneuvers that you can do.
Gotcha. So that analogy of like the car maneuvers is where it holds true right there. So you look at this and you're like, ooh, I want to try that. I want to palm a card. Well, that's a DV15.
Right. One of the cool parts is it's not just the gamble skill. A lot of it is we have various sleight of hand style skills like stealth and conceal reveal object can be used instead of gambling for certain cheats. But if you want all the cheats at the same time, then you get gamble, the dedicated skill for it.
Yeah.
Which is not a 2-cost skill because it's gamble. It's a side feature of your character anyways. It enables you to sort of have the authority over all these things. Because if you're getting conceal reveal object, you're also getting the ability to look for stuff.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. That's fun. So, got it for balance. Yeah. So this is fun. This is cool that you can use that for any kind of card game, even if you're not doing Elflines. Now, give me an idea of the 52 card deck, building your deck. Give me like the gist of it for the folks at home.
Okay, so there's two kinds of deck building that you can do in Elflines. The first one is like a starter deck type thing, and to do that, you just cut the deck into red cards and black cards. Throw out the jokers, hand the red cards to one player, hand the black cards to another player, and you have the theme deck.
And that is limited, or is that?
That is limited. For the quick game, without worrying about buying packs of deck constructions, you just take a standard poker deck, you remove the jokers, split it into the 4 suits. Each player selects 2 of the 4 suits to represent them and shuffles them together to form a 26-card deck.
And then constructed.
Constructed is for where you can create your own 26-card deck. 20 of the cards have to be cards from 2 copies of Ace, 2 copies of 2, 2 copies of 3, 2 copies of 4, 2 copies of 5, 2 copies of 6, 2 copies of 7, 2 copies of 8, 2 copies of 9, and 2 copies of 10. So that's the 20. But you get to pick your 6 face cards, which are kind of like the big, powerful cards in the deck that do things that aren't just summon a creature or use as materials to summon a creature.
Yeah. So, like, for example, the number 4 is a cursed head monster. Mm-hmm. Number 5 is a Draglin. The Jack of Clubs is a spreading slime. It has a rule, an effect. Each player must discard one of their summoned monsters, limit 2 per deck. So yes. the face cards have special rules to them, while the numbered cards are just bodies. They're monsters.
Yeah, they're bodies, but they also are the way you pay for bodies. So they're a combination of creatures and the ability to summon other creatures.
Yeah, that's right.
It makes the game very understandable and repeatable, but those face cards provide the variance. And of course, you can get a hand of stuff that doesn't add up for other stuff. So you can still experience the mana screw as well in variance, although it is much less in this game because of the way it works.
Very cool. This is fun. It's pretty deep. It's there's deep strategy, because then there's combat as well, where you take the numbered cards, and if they match the suit of the number, correct me if I'm wrong, you play it, and that's how much damage you do from the number of the card.
Yeah. You discard when you attack. You discard 2 cards with the same suit as a summoned creature that hasn't yet attacked this turn, or you can discard a number card with the same number as that creature, and then that card gets to attack, and they can either deal their damage to the life points directly, a la Yu-Gi-Oh, or they can do the damage to all of the opponent's creatures. So it becomes you can get a very swingy blowout turn, a la a card game anime, instead of a it's more meant to feel like a card game anime than to feel like a
trading card game,
actual trading card game.
Yeah, but it's cool that you guys went into actually making it a legitimate card game that you can play too. That's fun.
I wanted to. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
A lot of the cards that we have are semi-referential to famous trading cards from trading card games. We have a Pot of Greed, for example, a Pot of Niad. We have a Tutor, all the good stuff.
Yeah, and then offline or off game, there's 3 items here. They're legitimate items. Dual Caster, Scarlet Blackbow, and the Sword of Arvish. They are real replicas from the game, from the MMORPG. It's getting so granular, I forgot where we started.
Right.
It's from the original, as seen in Elflines Online. You can have the Sword of Arvish. It is a melee weapon. It does 3d6 damage, rate of fire 2. I mean, it would be so cool to be a booster ganger and you have this crazy sword from an MMO.
Right. So I guess we could go through them. They're pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 cosplay weapons from the Elflines Online series. We have the Sword of Arvish, which is it's a poor quality one-handed exotic melee weapon. Whenever you roll a critical failure with the weapon, instead of the weapon malfunctioning, you instead get the crushed fingers critical injury.
That's crazy. And the Scarlet Blackbow is no better.
The Scarlet Blackbow is an exotic poor quality bow, and when you roll a critical failure when firing the weapon, it destroys itself beyond repair. And additionally, when that happens, the battery pack in it that's used to make the sounds, the in-game sounds, electrocutes you.
And malfunctions.
It's fun.
That's great.
The sort of star here, however, is our dual caster, which is a bulky. Stop me if you've heard of something like this before. It's a bulky winged triangular plastic housing for your Elflines Online TCG deck, with an included revving trigger and a pair of very overactive flywheels with which to fling your cards onto and sometimes into the table.
Yeah, I always thought the most cyberpunk thing in the world is to have one of those Yu-Gi-Oh!
It is a dual disc, yeah.
Yeah, dual disc things.
It's a cyberpunk take on a dual disc that's also sort of a gun. It's an exotic medium pistol, and here's the big part. It's ROF 3.
Yeah, but you'll never do a critical injury because it only does 1d6 damage.
And allows you to make 3 attack checks per attack action if it's the only weapon you're firing in a round. Otherwise, it's 2 ROF. So the dual caster is deals 1d6 damage and it can't be concealed. So instead of firing bullets, it fires Elflines Online, the TCG cards, which can be recovered after they're fired. It has a capacity of 26 cards, which is the deck size of the game. And it can be loaded with standard playing cards if you want, but it causes it to act as a poor quality weapon. Anyway, I think it's fun. It's one-handed, which is one of the cool parts of being one-handed, is that you can put it in a pop-up weapon. So you can get your dual cast per arm.
Man. I just put it together. I was like, why would you do that? And then I realized why.
Why would you do that? Because card games on motorcycles is why you can do that.
Yeah, because any loser could just buy a dual caster, but the real chooms put it in their pop.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. That's awesome. And then we also got to mention at the end of this DLC, you have a full page of backings for cards. So
yes.
I had the idea of going to one of my favorite AI generators and generating these monsters that you have listed here, putting it on a deck of cards, and then using this backing and legitimately make the deck.
There you go, man. We put this together so that you could do that if you wanted to. We've had very happy to see that a lot of people have taken us up on it. There have been a couple of different people building Elflines Online decks in as an arts and crafts project, which is cool. One of my favorite parts is on the previous page. There's a thing you can cut out so that you can put playing cards in a paper envelope to make it look like you're opening a pack of cards. Because we also, I think we might have scrolled over this.
No, I was going to talk about the box. You could print out a box.
Yeah, you can print out Elflines Online, essentially trading card packs.
Yeah,
and there's a system for like actually making a booster box of cards in case you wanted to be the cool GM that brings props to the table. We have those rules. I believe they're on page 2. Creating packs out of game. You take a poker deck and you separate out the face cards, but you leave the jokers in to create 2 stacks, and then you shuffle each stack separately, and you put 1 card from the face card stack and 9 cards from the number/joker stack in a new stack face down.
Yeah, there you go. It's awesome. Also, we got to shout out Derek Sylar. Sylar has a nice quote in here too. I wonder if he's ever going to get flatlined by somebody out there. That'd be a cool story.
Eric Sylar is our mouthpiece, our beloved mouthpiece for discussing Elflines Online. I don't know. I think he's pretty safe, but you never know, Night City.
You never know, man. You never know. All right, so that's the DLC. Remember, guys, you could get it for free, absolutely free, at artelsoriangames.com. The DLC and download section. That is where you can find this DLC among many other ones, like the dating sim, Night City Weather. I mean, you name it. And if you see something and you're like, oh, that's a cool looking DLC, I wonder what it's all about, head on back to our Night City Council episodes, because James and I have covered every single one of them. Every single one. So there's that. All right. Why don't we get into some questions?
Let's do some questions.
We got some questions from the community here. Thank you all for your questions. JonJonTheWise at gmail.com is where you can send them, and I will put them on the list, and James and I will for sure 100% answer them. All right? Let's go to this one. This is from Warren Williams about cyber chairs. That's one of the early DLCs from Artel Saurian. So I noticed that cyber chairs are specified to set move to 5, including armor penalties, and that critical injuries to the legs are received by the cyber chair, affecting the set movement. I'm curious about other movement reducing effects, namely Scorpion Black Ice or another form of movement reduction. Does that affect the chair or the character's base move, leaving the chair unaffected?
That's a very specific question. So Scorpion Black Ice is the effect of Scorpion Black Ice is largely psychosomatic. I would say that it can affect that, and that's fine. Mainly, the effect of the chair is to redirect the critical injury. The redirection effect on the chair is for critical injuries. I think that would still lower their move.
Okay. So you're saying Black Ice, Scorpion Black Ice would lower the move of the chair as well?
Yeah, because it's the pilot. There's somebody piloting there as well, and I think that would be as long as they're controlling the chair, it's lowering their ability to like function.
Cool. And that also works well with balance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and the other thing is, this is an edge case. You're completely okay to GM this any way you want, but for me, it's the chair wouldn't factor into that since it impacts another part of the body.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much, Warren Williams. Hey, folks. Sorry about that. We had technical difficulties, but we are back with our next question here. Let's talk about, this is from Hoxton. If I am a tech, could I upgrade my Neuralink with an additional slot for 6 options, then upgrade 6 chipware slots with an additional slot, then slot 12 skill chips?
Yeah, sure. That would take you a lot of time, and that would take you a lot of effort and money. And it uses your roll ability, and that is within your powers as a tech. I do not see why not. I mean, that's a heavy mod. That is not a light mod. So yeah, I mean, that's what we mean by techs can do that. That's
creepy. I don't want to know what kind of rig you got on the back of your brain, dude.
I'm not sure that without therapy, and then you'd have to have a lot of therapy in order to not get cyberpsychosis by installing that many skill chips. I'm assuming you'd want the good ones. Cost extra. I mean, yes, that is the nature of that modular system. Taken to an extreme, sure, but thus is your power.
Okay. Can I link my internal agent to virtuality goggles? I believe you can can you link your cyber deck to your agent? Is that an option?
You can link a yes, because you can move files to your agent, I believe.
There you go. Okay, so it is possible.
So yeah. I don't know. It wouldn't. So virtuality is different than Chiron. in terms of screen virtuality, lets you see things that aren't that are in the sort of net in a net architecture. So I'm pretty sure you could, and you might want to put it in some smart goggles, smart glasses, so that you could also put on a Chiron feature, so that you could use the normal features of the app. Yeah, no reason you couldn't.
Okay. How would you price a space suit? Super luxury, right?
I don't know about
beyond that.
It's super luxury. I think it would be luxury. I mean, a good spacesuit, a standard spacesuit, a bad spacesuit.
Right, because this is the world of cyberpunk, so you got one that Giraffa made, and then you got one that Zetatech made or Microtech made, right?
I could see potential for a high-end spacesuit above 5,000 EV, a standard spacesuit at 5,000 EV, and a cheap spacesuit at less than 5,000, maybe at 1,000, with a big downside. Yeah.
There you go. All right, thank you, Hoxton. Did I not get a name on this one? I think this is all from Scott S. And then I'll look for an esoteric one after this.
Sure.
If someone is in a cryotank, page 353, we love pages. Thank you, guys. If someone is in a cryotank, are they able to receive a speed heal? Would being in the tank for the full day mean they can get one? I'm imagining a Dragon Ball healing pod. So do cryotanks have an adapter for a speed heal? Can you administer one, or would a tech have to make it first?
One of those things where the rules don't say you can't. And I imagine that is rather easy to figure out. You might have to open the tank for a second to stab them, but this is one of those ones where like that isn't as hard as you think that might be.
Yeah. Well, like we just mentioned about the spacesuit, there's going to be cryotanks that are well made from a good brand, that are expensive, that will have features that other cryotanks don't have. The game rules basically just explains what a cryotank is as an object, but doesn't get into the minutia of its engineering or anything like that.
So I would say that a cryo pump. A cryo pump has a bag unit and it has arms in it so you can do surgery. And part of doing surgery is the ability to get something out of that area if you need to. I would imagine there would be a flap of some kind. Here, I don't think this is busted or broken in any way. And it's just the Medtech using their roll ability to do something the Medtech should be able to do.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Let's see. This is actually a good question. This is all from Scott as well. Can a Medtech hustle while maintaining any number of cryotanks? So let's say they have cryotanks that they need to tend to. Can they still do their hustles?
Yeah. Yeah, cryotanks are pretty easy to maintain once you know how to do it. And again, this is a case of a character spending one of the most valuable resources they have, which is their roll ability to do something. And as a GM, you want to be very careful if you ever impinge on their ability to do their roll ability, because that will make them that will make the character less powerful in a very large way.
There you go. All right, Scott S. That's that for now. Let's get to a more esoteric one. This is from Lost Nomad. How do you two envision the CitiNet, Datapool, the Ziggurat Garden, etc. visually, and how do you consider them different from one another? I've been wanting to use my free time making visuals for my players, but I've been having trouble wrapping my head around them and how I should present them to my players. Thanks.
Okay, so the CitiNet, the Datapool, this question is a question of like terminology. The CitiNet is the idea that your whole city has its own local internet that's only accessible in that city. The data pool is on the CitiNet.
And so is Ziggurat Garden, right?
Is also on the CitiNet. The data pool is a more like branded generic way of referring to what's on that CitiNet, and encompasses stuff that is branded like Ziggurat's Garden. So I would say all of those three things are at some level the same thing, or at least related to each other. So I would imagine there's a browser. We have in the book, we have example pages that are supposed to be in-world examples from the data pool. And they look actually rather akin to a streamlined internet sort of UI wise. So I would look through the one for examples of the garden pages. We have examples of garden pages in the physical book, Cyberpunk Red.
Yeah, as you could see my name on one of them.
Yes, and JonJon is on one of them. So in terms of stuff that's not directly on the garden, but other stuff you can find on the data pool, I would imagine it has a similar top bar, but then not the keyword bar. That would be, and then no logo, and then it would be a internet page. I would encourage, maybe as a jumping off point, to look at the Wayback Machine to find an example of internet pages before they were before smartphones, and that will give you an idea of what the data pool might look like. The idea that they would make stuff for agents immediately after this big thing happening, I don't think that's happened totally yet. So, it's the intermediary of technology finding a way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always imagined you go onto a browser of some sort and there's a landing page, and then you navigate through the landing page, then wade your way through advertisements to try to find the thing that you're looking for. There are certain things that are pushed to the front of the landing page because the powers that be want you to see that above other things. And then there's some things that are deep in the dark garden or the dark patches of the CitiNet, So that's basically how I would visualize it, like the old GeoCity days of making websites, where websites was a thing. People made websites, you would visit their website. Nowadays, it's like it's evolved into something else. It's like there's platforms, we go to our platforms, and that's where we get things from. You know what I mean? There's like a few websites that we visit every day, but back in the day, it was like you visited a different website for different things.
And finding stuff hard still back then, because search engines weren't as good as they are now at finding things. Maybe not the thing you're looking for, but a thing you might want to see nowadays. But remember, there's a library search skill, and it's really good. And if you're good at it, you can always basically find something germane to the story going on right now, and use that as a way to get role-playing prompts and character power.
Yeah, that's why it's a ×2 skill, right? Library search.
I don't think it is.
It isn't?
I don't know.
Ignore me. Who cares? But yeah, I've seen it used a lot in my games. It's really important. It's one of those.
It's that sleeper hit skill.
Yeah, it's one of those skills that you didn't think that you would really need all that much, and then you end up really needing it. Concentration's another one of those where it's like your character wants to remember something. And it's like if you don't have good concentration, sorry. All right, there's that. Let's see, should we answer another one? Let's talk about Okay, let's do this media, because I know not a lot of folks play the media role, so this is a question about the media role, and I think this will be great to get your insight. This is from Tim Schroer. Sorry if I butchered your name. I recently started playing a media, and we had some problems understanding this rule. If your story contains even a single piece of verifiable evidence that is easily understood by the masses, the chance your audience will believe it is 1 higher. If it contains more than 4 verifiable pieces of hard evidence, the chance is 2 higher. These 2 bonuses stack with each other, so we had some different interpretations on what that meant exactly.
Okay.
So if you have 4, you have a bonus of 3 because it stacks with the 1.
Let me go to the page hey
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, we're back. So James, you found the answer to this.
Yes. Hey, you got to read this section more closely, because the one thing these are 2 different things. It's not just evidence. The first one is a single piece of evidence that is easily understood by the masses. The second one is, what is it, 3 or 4?
4 distinct verifiable.
This is 4 distinct. The second one is 4 distinct verifiable pieces of hard evidence.
The bloody footprint, the gun, the smoking gun, the photograph.
The photograph. Photograph would be easily understandable by the masses.
Got you.
The distinction here is that one of them represents evidence that is real and verifiable, but it may be a little bit more for professional eyes, like the footprint, for example, might only be, how do you know it's his footprint, right? That's not easily understandable by the masses. The easily understandable by the masses part is like him on video, the mayor or whatever, saying, I embezzled that money. No one can. The 4 is like you doing, you finding verifiable pieces of evidence. And yes, they can combine, but they are different kinds of evidence.
So yeah, so the easily understood by masses piece of evidence is not one of the 4. It is separate of the 4.
It can be both.
It can be. Okay.
If there's a piece of hard evidence that's easily understood by the masses, then it can qualify as both.
Okay, cool. There you go. All right.
So,
that's it. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Everybody else, we'll get to your questions next time. Please send them in. JonJonTheWise@gmail.com. That's where you guys could send them in, and I'll be happy to answer them with James. So, there's that. Before we move on to what my Halloween game was like, I wanted to ask you, do you have any information on that Edge Runners source book?
The only thing I can say about it right now is I am working on it very hard, and it's going to be something that people are, I think the community is going to really like it, I hope. And we're putting our best effort into it. It's going to be fun. For sure. And it's gonna, I really can't say that much about it since it's we just announced. So
there you go. Okay.
I can say I'm working on it. There's awesome stuff in it, and it's going to be exciting for players of Red as well as fans of the anime.
There you go. All right. Thought I'd ask because I'm a man of the people, and you're gonna be like,
you comments anyways.
Yeah, exactly. This is just to curb the comment. Why didn't you ask about the thing? You know what I mean? So there you go.
Of course.
So, I know you didn't get to run any games. You were just having fun like a normal human being would. I was asked to run a table last minute at my local shop because there's been an increasing interest in Cyberpunk Red. So their table filled up. They had 8 people sign up, and they only have 1 table. And we all know how bad that usually goes. So, Yeah, so instead of turning people away, they said, "Hey, John, you want to come by and run a game?" And I said, "Sure, I'll run a game, no problem. 3 hours, one shot, let's do it." So they put out the John the Wise bat signal, and I came through. I had no idea who was playing in my game. As far as the scenario I ran a homebrew scenario of an idea that I've been toying around in my head.
Nice.
Now, let me throw it at you and see how you feel about it. I've been thinking of running like a horror Halloween Cyberpunk Red one-shot adventure.
Cool.
Campaigns are fun, but I feel like you get kind of bored of it. One shot is perfect for something like this. I started backwards. I had the monster, and then I made the story around the monster on how
Nice.
it would happen. The idea was this guy has cyber psychosis, and he is covered with a swarm of nano robots that are like one being that has kind of possessed him, and it's like an AI taking over his body. Think like Nemesis from Resident Evil 3 mixed with Cable from Marvel. You know, Cable has a technovirus.
Yep.
Something like that. So I was like, yeah, it would be really cool if that was the last boss and they had to fight this guy and he's like freaky and everything. So I worked backwards from that idea. And I thought to myself, all right, how am I going to make that make sense from that? There was a doctor that invented a nanovirus that got out of hand. He was told to quit the program from Medtech. It was a Medtech thing. And he didn't want to quit the program because he's a mad scientist. He's like, no, I got to see my research through. So he disappeared. And one of the people that it was part of his team is a high-ranking general, and he said, hey, I need you players to go find him and get him back because he's an asset of mine. Not because I want to stop him, but because I want to be able to get the credit if he does do something good.
Right.
But the problem is he was also kicked off of the team, this general. So he can't be a part of it. That's why he needs an outside party. It can't be anything Militech. It has to be an outside party that's doing this for him. So that's my basic idea of how they were, and then they were going to fight the monster, because everything got out of hand, right?
Go.
So the way it went was great. It was awesome. I had new players. Everybody had at least played Cyberpunk once, which was interesting. They had played either 2020 or Red one time, and it was another one shot. They all had characters already, which was great. I've never seen that before. And they all use the app.
Good.
Yeah, they all had characters. They all used the app. I was going to tell them to use the app. I had a battle map. I had 2 battle maps. I used the giant, extremely giant book of Cyberpunk maps. I'm sure you guys have seen that. It's now an official Artalsorian product. When I bought it, it wasn't, and now it is from Loki Battle Maps. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I used one of those maps. Yeah, it's a good one. That was for the final boss, and then so they started in a corporate party. I was gonna have them meeting their contact at this corporate party. The corporate party was a birthday party for the husband of the mad scientist that they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought to themselves, okay. This guy told them, you got to talk to the husband, try to find out some information where his husband is, the mad scientist, and bring him to me. No mention about a monster, nothing like that. So they got to experience the social aspect of Cyberpunk, which is like a big thing in Cyberpunk, is the party, the nightclub, the persuasion checks, wardrobe and style. One of them had terrible wardrobes, so he had to persuade one of the guards to give him his own jacket. They all stood out because they're edge runners in a corporate party. It was really fun. Shenanigans. They said the wrong thing when they shouldn't have said it. Everybody's looking at them. So that went really well. They got out of there and they found out information that he went to a combat zone to the Robinson Terminators, because he knew that they were they were into cyberware and they were thick, muscly bodybuilder type of guys. And he's like, that's perfect for my experiment. So players uncovered all that, got there, they fought the monster. The monster almost killed all of them. And it was altogether a perfect situation of like I don't know how you like to design your one shots, but I'm like, if it's gonna be Cyberpunk, that's the beats, right? Social interaction, obstacles, puzzles, a little bit of net running, combat. We call it a day. We're good to go.
That's a good structure for a one shot.
Yeah, so and one of them played a tech. I told them you probably want to go upgrade and field expertise because you're not going to be doing other stuff with your maker. It's a one shot. So there's those little granular things that you got to think about when you're running a one shot too. Whenever, like, everybody should be able to play whatever the character they want, but you should definitely think about those things when when you're running a one shot. So
Right.
So yeah, that's basically it. That's the gist of it. I mean, there's nothing more to say other than it was exciting, it was fun, everybody had a good time, it was a successful story. And I think what it really just made me realize is how easily you can make a good one shot in Cyberpunk Red and hit all the beats on what a great RPG it is.
Well, I mean, it seems like that was a great session for a couple of reasons. Really interesting that you got all returning players.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed that. That is typically in that type of situation you have like a mix, right? It's really rare that you get a bunch of all returning players. Usually you have someone who you're teaching for the first time, which is great.
Yeah.
Of course, but it's very fun also when it's not.
Yeah, I mean, they only played it once before, so they got a taste of it. And, playing once is more than enough to get a grasp of the game. So it was actually kind of refreshing that they had their characters ready. And I said, hey, as long as there isn't any like weird homebrew items or stuff in your build, you can use that character. I don't care. I don't care. And it worked out just fine. So,
awesome.
So yeah, there's that. I highly recommend the app, guys. I mean, the app is seriously, it's so wild how easily you could just play Cyberpunk by downloading the app. And
it is. It's crazy. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk companion app. You search it on whatever app store, you'll find it.
Yeah, there's a PC release in the works too for desktop. So yeah, they're working on that as well. So that's going to come out. It's free. It's completely free. The only thing you'll ever have to pay for are the GM tools if you choose to. But if you want to make a character and just start playing Cyberpunk, you don't have to pay anything. You could just do it. So, yeah. So that's it.
I'm happy for you. Sounds like you had a great time.
Yeah, it's good. It's between that and some other content creators that I met locally. Shout out to No Latency and Infinite Sided Dice. We're all in like the same area. We're all content creators. We're kind of making this little Cyberpunk Red scene happening in our local area. So it's really cool. Maybe one day one of you guys will come by and hang out at the shop.
Depends on if I'm in the area.
Of course, if you're in the area, you must at least hang out with me. All right. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I'm sorry. Did you have anything you wanted? You didn't play any games. That's why I moved on.
No, I'm good. I just hope everyone has a good holiday. Wanted to shout out a couple of quick things. Is that December is coming up around the corner. Do not worry, there won't be more elves. Despite December, we've got some exciting DLCs coming up. The next one is really good. And then, of course, please look forward to the December DLC, which is always, we always try to give you exactly what you want in December. So,
I love that vague promise.
Hey, sometimes you release a elf-based trading card game, and you need to make sure people know that good things are coming that you can shoot.
Well, for one, I'm a big fan of your elf shenanigans.
Well, not everyone is, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's why it's a free DLC that you can freely use or freely not use.
Hey, and the gamble rules are good for everything.
Exactly. That's actually, I'm going to use that. So now when people want to gamble, I'm going to be like, oh, wait, stop. Go straight to the
Yeah.
website.
It enables your Ocean's 11 cyberpunk game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not even like, trying to be JonJon the shill here. The DLCs are really good. They're really good. Yeah. I gave you a little chuckle there. But I've seen many people use the DLCs. Infinite Sided Dice use a dating simulator one. It was so much fun to see them go through it. They had 2 of their players go through a date. I've used the weather DLC. It added such a great element to my open road travel homebrew thing that I have going on. It's raining. It's blood rain is happening while you're doing all this stuff, And I've yet to dive into Elflines Online, but with all this content, I have to. There's a card game and all that. That's a whole story arc that I would love to go through.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. Anyway,
Yes.
We got exciting DLCs coming up in the year. Look forward to it, peeps.
Yeah, that's it, guys. Yeah, that's it, guys. All right, guys, have great holidays. We might have one for you guys in in December, depending on holidays and time and stuff. But if it's too difficult of a month, I hope you guys understand.
Yeah, I'm going to be, for one, I'm going to PAX Unplugged, so.
Yeah, so there's PAX, there's Christmas.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. If we can do it, we'll do it. If not, then we'll see you guys in January for the new year. So if we don't see you, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. We love you. Thank you so much for supporting our favorite games. And thank you to Artel Sorian as well. You guys rock, seriously.
Hey, thanks for putting this out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, Chooms.
Bye-bye.